and it is July, mid-July, and it's quite close. It's about kind of 15-16 degrees, but it's a close. If it could rain any minute. It's kind of high winds and the weather systems are moving fairly fast, so if it does I might cut it short and restart it under the tree, the handy shelter here. So today I'm at South Fornet, Recumbent Stone Circle, and this is an interesting one. I don't think it gets visited too much because it's essentially about 5 fallen stones and 2 upright stones, 2 standing stones, 2 flankers, which are pretty substantial to be honest. But and just to give this, Douglas had kind of fed back last couple of videos, is just to give a little bit of a brief topology. We are on top of a kind of low rise, not a hill as such, but certainly a low rise. So I'll pan round the best I can. Lovely fields round about. And start to kind of, with my back to the recumbent, be kind of facing southish. It's fairly rain clouds. Down here, down towards the village of Dunnacht, which I probably pronounced pretty badly, is another stone monument, stone circle called Nether Kirksey, which interestingly, if you look at the Great Crowns of Stone PDF, which is freely available on Historic Environment Scotland website, down there, there's if you scroll through all the recumbent stone circles, down near the bottom of the document there's an appendix 1, and there's another 80 sites that are called claimed to be recumbent stone circles, and Nether Kirksey is one of them. And for all intents and purposes, if you took pictures of where we are now at South Fornet and Nether Kirksey, you would say they're identical, and why isn't Nether Kirksey a recumbent stone circle identified? But definitely another site to visit. This embankment here hides an old quarry, which I'll talk about as well. And then we kind of come round to the monument. I'll come round just to the back of the monument just to give a bit of a kind of idea of the lay of the land. So we're starting to kind of look north, and the next kind of site along would be South Lay Lodge, which I hope to go to later. And again, it's although it's a low rise, it would put you in mind of Tom Navari, where you're kind of on top of a hill and there's almost like a donut valley all round you. You know, the rise falls away in every direction. And back round to the other side of the tree. Just to give a bit of a kind of an idea. And interestingly, when I come round here, where you'll see is this post here where my bag and cagoule are. That's a trig point. Now, interestingly, a lot of recumbent stones have been used as markers for ordnance survey, such as Easter Quartes has got a classic trig datum point right in the middle of the recumbent, and Midmar has got some graffiti on it, but I think it's been identified as a ordnance survey map marker. So trig point here, just next to the circle, and I have to say the access is pretty good. Just off the B road, down there about 370 metres from the B road, you park off the kind of the gate opening, which is permanently open. Park up there, and somebody has kindly, although this grass is right up to my chest, somebody has kindly cut a path all the way through the grass, right the way past the circle. You have to kind of fight your way to the circle from there, but it's been really nicely done. I think the path continues on down to the next village. So that's the topology, and that's the kind of access is actually quite easy. There's nothing to climb over, just maybe a kind of 370 metre walk, a slight incline, and again through the kind of brush at the end. So quite accessible. It's a bit kind of Lord of the Rings, this with the tree over it, for sure. So let's talk about what we've got here. Now, identified in the Great Crowns of Stone are stone number 1, no stone 2, recumbent completely missing, stone number 3, and then a little bit of a trek through rather stony. There's lots of stones round about the area here, the fallout from a cairn, I guess, or maybe broken up circle stones. Under the tree here we've got stone A, as it's identified, and again it's like one of these things with Great Crowns of Stone, is they tend to kind of just identify it as something like A or B or C, or some kind of letter of the alphabet, and then behind the tree is behind the recumbent setting is stone B, C, D, E and F are all behind the tree. But before I go round to there, let's have a look at the flankers, stone 1 and 3, just to get an idea of what kind of size they are. So they're quite substantial, stone number 1. It's a wee bit tricky to see it with the tree being there. But if I stand as close as I can to it, lovely flat sided, it's a good 2 metres tall, with a kind of chamfer off the side, which could probably be a bit of damage. Lovely flat front facing outside the circle, a bit on the rougher side on the inside of the circle again, but that could have been some damage, maybe some reducing of the stone down that side. It's a lovely, I mean that's elbow to fingertip wide. It's a slab of a stone for sure. And grey granite, but there is some nice seams of quartz running through it. Coming to quartz in a wee minute. So you can see there's a spoil of stones behind it. Quite a hefty spoil of stones, which has either been put down to being, come around the other side, put down to being the remnants of the recumbent, having been heavily broken up, or it could be the spoil of the cairn, or it could be a field spoil. There's lots of just different kind of opinions about what it might be. So that's stone number 1. There's this little stone that's just sitting in front of it. It's had some shear marks on it. And I'll come round to maybe why a lot of the stones have been deliberately broken up. So stone 1, a substantial flanker without the east flanker. West flanker. Stone number 1. What's interesting about it is, well, the sun's not shining at the moment, but there is quite a bit of graffiti in here. Unfortunately, don't do that, kids. But yeah, so there's been a bit of graffiti put onto the stone at some point, probably, I don't know, 150 years ago or something like that, when I thought it was cool. So that's stone number 1. No stone number 2, completely missing. And stone number 3, the east flanker. It's really nice kind of relatively flat, maybe a bit of a kind of tip mark there perhaps. Relatively flat kind of front sided. Again, if I'm standing as close as I can, it's probably a good 2 metres tall. Again, probably at the base anyway, it's a good kind of arm length at the base wide. Let's see if I can get in under the branches here without injuring myself. Again, some quartz seams, a little bit of a kind of broken top to it. But lovely stone. Again, a bit of a similar type of kind of shape to the number 1. It's a slab. It's a front and back, and 2 sides clearly. Bit of a slab. Although this one seems to be wide at the bottom and taper up from the side angle anyway. And that spoil in the middle between them, you couldn't probably help but think, oh, that's been the recumbent at one point, but I'm not entirely sure. The stones are fairly small to have been broken up to that level. I suspect that maybe that was maybe part of a recumbent at one point. Maybe this is identified as stone B. So what we said was this is stone A, possibly been a circle stone at one point, and it has been reported as having fairly heavy damage from ploughs and such, but it's probably damage from actually being reduced, broken up. Again, this could have been a slice from the recumbent and just discarded to the side. Stone B is quite interesting because I think it's fairly mostly buried. Hard to tell if this is just the top or if this is the entire stone. And again, if it was a large bulbous kind of boulder stone, it could be easily the 3 meters gap that fits in there. There's various stones round about, like this one at the top here with a kind of flat side like it's been broken apart. There's a cute little quartz stone here that was found under the grass. Lovely quartz, like the whole block is quartz. Lovely. And then come round the other side, again identified by great crowns of stone, is a few medium to large stones. This is C, D, E, and F is over there. And what's interesting about C, as you can probably see it right away, is the drill hole for breaking the stones apart. It's quite evident. So, you know, apart from the lack of stones being here and this shot hole, and the very fact that there's a quarry just 30 metres away, would suggest that this was heavily reduced, probably back in the 1850s, and I'll come on to why that is maybe. So yeah, broken up kind of stones back here that were great kinds of stone, suggest that were maybe part of a circle stones and such. There's a couple here with what would probably be looking like a kind of mark for reducing it. So the quarry just being there, interestingly, I went and had a look around the quarry, and apparently the quarry was before 1850 as an operational quarry, and probably before then, well before then. But when Cole came to do his survey in 1901, 1902, that quarry was filled in, disused, filled in and covered in trees. So, like Comilly, I think this site is essentially what is left of a bit of a building site, a bit of a kind of quarry. You know, the very point of a quarry, the very function of a quarry is to gain stones for building materials. And here's stone above ground that you don't have to dig up, already shaped and, you know, just needing to get plucked out of socket. Why wouldn't you just lift it out? So with that shot hole in stone C, the lacus, the recumbent, is a fairly large stone, which we've seen other stones being split and broken up. I suspect that this circle was used extensively from the stonemasons that were working in the quarry. So from that point of view, if that's the case, then we're lucky to have 2 stones still standing, to be honest. So yeah, I think that's all we can kind of say about South Fornet. Is it's nice and easy to get to. It's on top of a low rise. It's quite interesting. I mean, it's a lovely spot. But there is only kind of these 2 stones standing and a bit of a kind of wreck behind them when it comes to the rest of the stones and what might have been the standing stone, the rest of the circle stones. I'll drop some pictures. I went to the quarry there, expecting to see nothing, but I actually found a whole heap of what you'd probably recognise as rounded, weathered, sort of right-angled recumbents or circle stones in there. So I think what I'll do is I'll drop these pictures in the comments below this video, Just out of interest, I think it's worthwhile anybody that's coming here to go and have a look at the quarry. But it's definitely worth a visit. I don't think it's visited too often. And it's one of these circles that it's within driving distance of all the other main ones. Certainly to have a wee visit for sure. So I've blathered enough about this circle. Thanks very much for joining me, and we'll catch up later.